Hey, I'm Miss Jackie. I'm a black woman with long black twists, currently half up, half down. I'm wearing a green shirt, blue jeans and white trainers. I'm an artist who has worked with Oily Cart. I was also one of the collaborators on the sensory show Space to Be. Welcome to the Oily Cart building where the shows get made. This is one of 3 videos linked to the report Being With in Sensory Theatre that came from Oily Cart's researcher residency. The aim of the researcher in residency project is for Oily Cart to learn from people who have different perspectives to make their work better, to have space to grapple with uncomfortable questions that arise in the making of their work. Let me introduce you to Dr. Jill Goodwin, the researcher who worked with Oily Cart from 2020 to 2022.
Hello, I'm Jill Goodwin and I'm a middle-aged white woman with short grey hair, and today I'm wearing a pink and yellow checkered top and white jeans.
And this is Ellie, Artistic Director of Oily Cart.
Hi, I'm Ellie. I'm a white woman in my late 30s. I've got shoulder-length brown hair, and today I'm wearing a cream dress with green stripes on it.
This video focuses on the final section of the report, which is the role of the supporting adult. I remember when we were devising Space to Be over Zoom in the first lockdown. This was a show that was posted to families who were shielding. The pandemic really shifted how Oily Cart were thinking about the role of the supporting adult. We worked really hard to bring the adult into a sensory headspace and make them get as much from the show as their child.
Yeah, that's right. It was actually a really big shift for the company. We've always prioritised the experience of the disabled young person and finding ways of engaging and connecting with them. So it was really, really interesting to think a lot more about the rest of the family and how to bring them into a sensory headspace so that they could really share the experience on equal terms.
Here are some videos of families experiencing Space to Be. From my view of the whole universe, I can see families like yours. In fact, 4 families are looking up at their own constellation right now. Lines and connections join up other families right across the country, experiencing the same moment together. They're there, and there, and there, just being.
Well-being was a really big aspect of this project, wasn't it? I think it's sort of common knowledge that it's really good for humans to get out of your head and into your body, and I think this is what sensory work just does so well. During the pandemic, people were obviously really struggling with their well-being, and lots of the families that we work with were in a really extreme situation where they were shielding and had lots of support they usually get just suddenly removed. So it was a really distressing time for lots of people, and in Space to Be, this led us to create for the first time one part of the experience that was only for the adult, not for the young person at all. And we were quite nervous about this, weren't we? Because we were worried about it would be seen as excluding them. But actually, the response to that first day that was just for the adult had such powerful and overwhelmingly positive responses that it really felt like the right thing to do, as you can see from this quote.
I had listened to it twice and I was so profoundly moved, so deeply moved. 11 years on this journey, nearly 12 years, nobody has ever emotionally held me like that, ever. And as a professional, I mean,
You want to cry.
Yeah, and said those things. But it was really moving and very strong and unique. So, and I want to thank you for thinking about the carer first.
In the report, I was really interested in the bit that you wrote about the drive for recognisable responses. Humans are a bit wired like that, performers even more so.
I agree, and in the report, when we were talking about supporting adults, we included performers as well as parents and carers. And in the first video, we spoke a bit about how encounters with the child like Khaled, and if you haven't seen that video, Khaled is a fictional character that we talk about in the report. So how these encounters can make us feel compelled to compensate for an apparent lack of response, or as Ellie said, to try and chase moments of connection or response reaction. And what I'm so interested in is the spaces of possibility that may open up if we don't do this, and if we can welcome passivity as an invitation to shift our mindset and experience a different mode or way of being alongside the disabled child.
I think most performers would find it difficult when audiences don't respond in the way that they recognise, or maybe at all. I know that in the report it mentioned that in sensory theatre, audience responses is the evaluative currency of the work.
Yeah, it can make it really hard to evaluate your success, or to know if you're actually having impact rather than making assumptions. I really like the bit in the report that talks about de-investing in responses, which feels almost counterintuitive when you're thinking about making a show for an audience to enjoy.
Oh yes, and don't get me wrong, I'm not suggesting that we should only ever match our energy levels with the children we're working with. I think it can be really important sometimes to enliven and rouse, especially if a child has become very withdrawn. But I guess what I think needs addressing is an imbalance. I think there is an assumption that what we always need to do is seek response, seek reactions, chase smiles. And I'm very wary of this because I think some of this is about us and about validating our efforts rather than really thinking about the experience of the child. And what interests me as well is flipping this idea of agency for people who have the most barriers to access, so that we can recognise their impact on us. And I think this is a process that many parents and families have already gone through, so they're in a place where they deeply value the impact that their disabled child has had on them and the different value system that they've developed as a family. And I think many of us have just accepted the idea that quality of life is related to, individual achievement and independence and progress. But these children teach us about interdependence and the value of human life according to a different set of markers. And in the report, we mentioned Duncan Machika, who, what he suggests is that these children make us experience a lack in our own thinking and living, and which I think is a really thought-provoking idea.
It's really awesome stuff. Dr. Jill Goodwin, thank you so much for sharing some of the ideas you've written about in the report, which is an incredible piece of work. To get the full understanding, please read the report here at this link, or check out Oily Cart's website, www.oilycart.org.uk. This is the end of the Being With in Sensory Theatre videos. Thank you for joining us. Please get in touch with your thoughts and comments through Oily Cart's social media at Oily Cart. I am Miss Jackie. Here are my social medias so you can check out my music and creative work at I am Miss Jackie. Thanks to Jill, Ellie and Oily Cart and all of the contributors to the report. Read the report.